of June to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, where on that date in 1865, in the aftermath of the Civil War, slaves were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. Across the country, slaves knew they were free, but in the West, selfish and stubborn slaveholders withheld this information from the people they had captured. Word reached them finally, June 19, 1865. You may wonder why they call it Juneteenth. The day is a combination of June and 19th, in honor of the date of Grainer's announcement, and the first appeared around 1903. It is also known as African American Freedom Day or Emancipation Day. Though not a national holiday, it became a state holiday in Texas in 1980, and a number of other states have since declared it a state holiday or a day of observance. Though the colors of Juneteenth are red, white, and blue, many opt to wear red, black, and green, the colors of the Pan-African flag. The traditional foods that are used in the celebration are barbecued meats, traditional soul food, red food and drinks, and foods that are the colors that are found in the kente cloth. Families and friends gather together and eat family style. Oftentimes, these meals are accompanied by music, dancing, and bright-colored garments. The importance of Juneteenth varies depending on whom you ask, but many will agree that this day is to remember our history, to give tribute to those who came before us, and to celebrate the liberty of the harshly captured people. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you. Can everyone hear me now? I hope that you can. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My name is Jay Renee, and I welcome you. Police brutality and police misconduct has become an epidemic within our country. With the generation of cell phone and cameras and social media, the action of police have been on the forefront of criminal justice reform. We at the National Plus Coalition have joined forces with victims, family, activists, and former police officers to bring you a 5-day virtual event highlighting the problems within the police force. We will end our event with an open discussion on solutions to the ever-growing problem and how we can bridge the gap and mistrust between citizens and the police. Thank you for tuning in with us.
We mothers and fathers and loved ones, that's all one. No color lines. All of us or none of us. I need everybody to put their hands up. I want y'all to repeat after me because we got to wake these motherfuckers up because they the ones that's sleeping.
Wake the girl.
Father, Father, can't you see?
Father, Father, can't you see?
What the system done to me?
What the system done to me?
They locked us up and shoot us down.
They locked us up and shoot us down.
Especially when you're black and brown.
Especially when you're black and brown.
Father, Father, can't you see?
Father, Father, can't you see?
What the police done to me?
What the police done to me.
They lock us up and shoot us down.
Lock us up and shoot us down.
Especially when you're black and brown.
Especially when you're black and brown.
Father, Father, can't you see?
Father, Father, can't you see?
What the system done to me?
What the system done to me.
They locked us up and shoot us down.
They locked us up and shoot us down.
Especially when you're black and brown.
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 We gonna stop this over here on the West Coast. These is all my black and brown sisters. We are one. Ain't no more separation and division. And for you mothers and fathers that didn't show your face, if you ain't down with this shit, we running you out of the city. Period,
Hey everybody, hey man, this was a wonderful thing. This was historical, man. We are impacting families from all over this joint, man. Man, look, check this out. I just wanted to say, man, we got some powerful sisters in this movement, and we got to pay attention to them because as black men and brown men, we got to protect these sisters. That means if the police come up, it's a good day to die, like the minister said, man. Hold on.
Welcome everybody to the National Plus Coalition presents his first ever Rival for Justice. From the Sony show and the host of the Philly show. Before I introduce this guest, my name is Lisa Simpson. I'm the mother of Richard Risher, who was slain by LAPD July 25th, 2016. Next month will be my fifth year in this fight. And I still haven't went to court, y'all. But I want to introduce this sister right here. Like I said, she's from the Sony show. She the host of the Philly Hot Radio. Y'all, let's welcome Sonia Jones to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Am I supposed to chime in?
Yeah, you're supposed to start speaking. It's your turn.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm so sorry. What was my topic? Because I literally got called into this.
Your topic is police misconduct, police brutality, accountability.
Where do we start? The accountability. How do we get our police to be held accountable? Where does that start? Police brutality, that has been stemming for some centuries, hasn't it? I don't even know where to start. I'm sorry. I'm just like thrown into it. But I can say that there has been a ongoing rise in it. And I say rise, not that it hasn't already. It's just that we have social media now that brings it forefront to our attention. So more people are aware of seeing all of this. And they're getting more exposure. So we're actually getting to see the faces of, white supremacy and the Klan up front and personal. Getting them held accountable, it takes more than just our elected officials. It takes our voices to be heard. We need bodies out there on the ground, what do you call it, Minneapolis, boots to the ground. You need more of that out there, bringing more awareness, more attention to what's going on to make our police being held accountable. Because right now they are they're off the hook, as we can put it. They're running wild and free, and it just seems like more of our melanin complexioned people aren't speaking up and speaking out about it. We get like what I call 15 minutes of fame, where we come out for a hot 15 minutes, and before the week is over with, we done dwindled from what was maybe 1,000 plus to maybe just a handful of people who have, for whatever reason, decided to just shut down and go back to sleep, which is why we're getting a concurrent violence from the police towards us. That makes any sense. So I'm sorry. I'm not really here. I like like I said, so you have to pardon me because I'm trying to just try to remember. And this is some of the things that I talk about on the air, which is how ironic that now my brain just went blank on some of the things. But I can say this: early morning in Minneapolis, there was a alleged killing. There was a group of people that were outside, and they were just playing, red light, green light, when a car decided to plummet from 80 to 100 miles until they wound up killing a young lady who was just completing her 1 year sobriety. So now she's dead, and the city is in an uproar, and the police were actually gearing up. They were literally gearing up riot gear because of this crowd, instead of taking some of the needed information and find out, hey, what exactly happened. They wind up turning on to the citizens in Minneapolis, maybe like 1 o'clock this morning. I watched all this unfold, and this is kind of sad that, especially with everything that happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd, Deontay Wright, you would think that, hey, this would have died down, and it hasn't. It's escalating to a point where they no longer see us as humans. We are more like animals. And when I brought to attention that this is more like we're on they're on a hunt for us. It sort of wrinkled somebody's feather, and I didn't know how to be gentile about that word, because when they see us, pretty much they're like hunting us like animals. There's no easy or perfect way to say, hey, I see this nigger, this black person, this tar, this savage, this beast, and I don't like them. So, my best scenario is to take their life, other than what I just said. And this is, not just in my city, but around the world. And at some point, we as melanin complexion people need to stand up and speak out about this, because this is not going to go anywhere. As far as, again, police, uh, how do we get a hold of this, and how we hold them accountable? If we're our elected officials.
How you doing? All right.
Hey, are you on the WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Is it working okay?
If our elected officials aren't going to do anything, then we, as the people, citizens, we are the voices, and we need to speak up and make sure they are held accountable. The same thing we did with George Floyd, the protesters and the marches, standing in front of these people's homes. We need to be more vigilant about this, and not giving them 15 minutes of fame. I'm sorry, 15 minutes of our time, because death is permanent. Still have more time?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I mean, I could chime in with you because one of my family members that lost her husband in Minneapolis, Minnesota, she called me today and said that Minneapolis, Minnesota is still on fire, and that they was out there doing a peaceful protest about another young man that got assassinated by the FBI in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And a white supremacist doing over 100 miles came down the street,
this morning.
killed the one lady right there on the spot. It's just It's sad that we'll never get justice. These polices, they'll never be held accountable, because as you can see globally, they study killing us and ain't nothing happening to them. And you got to look at the statistics in the last 25 years. The police been killing us globally for the people to see, and how many officers have actually went to jail behind these murders. Not very many, probably a handful. And look how many bodies it is out here on the streets. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we need to stop focusing on getting them arrested, incarcerated. That means nothing. You remember George Zimmerman. We were, like, yes, he's incarcerated, but yes, he became free. We need convictions. We need them to serve some jail time, not, a slap on the wrist. But the thing is, we have to unify. And then there's a great division amongst us, contrary to what we may want to believe. There's a division amongst us that we need to unify first so that we can seek some justice from them. We're not going to get that if we keep out here hurting and harming each other. We need to stop and love ourselves so that we can present ourselves totally to the cause. There's a cause that needs to be fought, and we have that right to fight that fight. And there's enough of us to help, but we have to unify. At some point, we have to unify. There's only one person that died um, in Minneapolis last night, young lady. So
Yeah.
I was actually at the protest there was a protest going on for a young lady that I wound up befriending in Minneapolis. And during the protest, you can hear shouts coming through the crowd that there was a police shooting. And I didn't know anything about Minneapolis. I'm still recording, but I'm, ducking down, looking around, only to find out we were 15 minutes away from where Deontay Wright was shot and murdered. 15 minutes away. To know that while we were doing a peace march for one person who had lost their lives almost 12 years ago, that the young lady that spearheaded that one had to leave her event to go over and comfort Deontay Wright's mother. And that was kind of sad. 11 years she's trying to seek justice for her fiance / her son's father. And in the middle of all of this, there's another police shooting going on just 15 minutes away from where we were. So it's kind of sad, and I'm tired of hearing that word, and I'm tired of saying that word, that is sad. It's just like, what word is there attached to it when someone steals our lives? But again, we have to get these police officers held not just accountable, but removed from office and incarcerated. Not just a slap on the wrist, but the same amount of time they give us for frivolous crimes is the same amount of time we ought to give them 10 times. There's too many of us incarcerated for crimes that we had not committed. And slowly, if you see, we are being exonerated. We're coming out, and more of the police are being replaced. So pretty much is that we're coming out of the system because someone decided to say, hey, let's investigate this a little bit further. I believe this is unfair, unjust, unright. I don't think they've done that. Right. And as we are being released, more of the police officers are being in jailed. So that's but it's slow. It's a real slow process, but it's happening. I just, hope that it doesn't stop, but more of us need to be more vigilant when it comes to making sure that we are getting our rights heard and applied to us, because it's not. Questions, answers?
Right. You right on point with that. It's a slow process with the letting the prisoners that's been wrongfully convicted out of jail, but they made our peoples do 20 years plus before they decided to say, oh, this is wrong. They knew it was wrong in the beginning. And it's like, that's how they treat us. They don't even treat us like human beings. They treat us worse than they treat animals. And you were right when you said it's the hunting game when it comes to Black and brown people. They out here hunting us. And it's sad, like the things that they do. Now, if that would have been a Black or brown person that drove a car through a crowd like that, it would have been repercussions, you feel me? And it's sad how they out here. You can't even protest. You can't fight. You can't do nothing. Everything that you do when you're trying to fight for your rights, you wrong in their eyes. But they actions is what cause our reactions, and they don't get that.
Right. Yeah. But again, we have to unify. It's not a 5 minutes, I'm tired. And I get life comes, I have bills to pay, I have children, I have families, but all of my loved ones are alive. I've been protesting and marching for years. My family is alive. I'm protesting and marching, speaking up and speaking out for families that aren't related to me. I have no idea who half of these people are. but yet I'm on the grounds. I'm using my voice, I'm using my platform to get the word out. And I think a lot of us misconstrue that, hey, I have to be out. No, you have a cell phone, you have a computer, you have a laptop, you have any means of communication. Every time you get on a Facebook or social media, that's a platform that you can be using to exercise your First Amendment right to sit up here and speak up and speak about the injustice that's going on. But some of us don't. We're too busy worried about other things that has no meaning, about nothing. Like who slept with who and who did what. And those things aren't worthy of talking about when a lot of us are out here dying, senselessly dying. And it doesn't bother anybody or affect anyone until death comes knocking at their door. And then I hear one of these things that, oh my gosh, please help us. We need more.
So is it Sonia Jones?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Kyle Jones. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Mr. Carr. Hi.
Yes. So I look at it from a different approach. Since you got a radio show, when you look at police conduct and things of that nature, and brutality and investigation of it, the elected officials are the ones you need to hold accountable. And when it's election time, you got to look at the platforms that these individuals are running for, and see if they're in line with what, our visions and our views are for, in order to bring about a change in the system. You can stand outside and protest all day long, but until we get inside and penetrate the walls and actually become some of the legislators and draft legislations and write laws, then we start to control the system. And not many of us are doing that. The police are controlled by your elected officials. The police are controlled by whatever mayor, whatever CEO, or whatever county commissioners, whatever government is structured that's in the city that you live in. The police chief follows orders from elected officials. And we have to start holding that elected officials more accountable. Our first instinct is always to go after the police chief and attack the police chief when you're attacking nobody. Because the only thing he is a buffer and he has no power. The power is in the precincts where you have the lieutenants and the sergeants that sit here and cover and protect the officers that are out there. The majors and the captains of that nature that follow the orders from the police chiefs, which are given to them from the elected officials. So therefore, in order to bring about change, we must start looking at the people that we vote into office and holding them, accountable. What type of programs, are they trying to implement and institute when they take office? But now, you're right. Every time something happens, everybody wants to come out and stand and protest, but we lack follow-up, and that's what your show, that's another way that you can help get that message out there, is finding candidates and promoting the platforms on your show that's going to get out there and that's going to, running for state legislation. They're going to run for state senate. They're going to run for county or local offices in order to bring about a change. Right now, we hold little to no strength in those positions, and that's why this issue gets little to very no attention. It only gets a band-aid. And mothers like, I want to say Lisa, is it Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah, mothers like Lisa, they get hit hard when things happen, But yeah, this is something that we need to push the gas pedal down and stay forward on. And we need to get more about politics and putting people in place that draft laws and legislations is what we need to bring about a change, unifying the vote.
I do agree with that. There are more of us than elected officials, and
we draft no legislation. Yeah, we draft no legislation, and that police chief, they really don't care what you have to say because you don't control whether, he gets a paycheck. And his kids don't live in your neighborhood. The majority of the police departments that operate now, the communities are patrolled by police officers that don't look like them and that don't live in their community. So we can sit here and we can come together, all we want and protest and stand outside. But what are you really getting done?
I think we got a lot done protesting. I really believe the very first protest came for what, in slavery? Someone said I had enough of it and they left. Where they went, I don't know. But once we realized, hey, someone else said, hey, enough was enough, they left. If it wasn't for somebody speaking up and speaking out, I believe we'd be half where we are now, but we are. So I don't know what suggestions we should do besides, well, I'm gonna call the elected officials, because I believe that a lot of us have called, we've emailed, we've sent letters, we knocked on the doors, and we got nothing. It wasn't until we actually formed unity and stood out and protest with loudly bullhorns and blowing of the car horns and picket signs that, hey, someone paid attention to us.
So
If you notice in third world countries and other countries, they do that. When they don't like the president that's in office, the entire world comes out and they stand out until that whoever it is that they want out is out. We don't do that here. You have never heard anyone.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the protesting and collaboration with putting people who have our same views in office. It's a whole lot easier if you have a representative that's in there. When we get this problem, we hold them accountable. If you got a sheriff that's coming here and saying, hey, support me, and you get shootings and things of that nature, you hold him accountable because he gave you a word that he was going to get in there and make some changes. What I'm saying is that we've done enough protesting. Now it's time to start putting people in place that's going to draft legislation and stop depending on somebody else to do it.
Until we get them in place, what do we do now? Stop protesting.
This is all a process. And what I'm saying is,
but until then, what do we do? What do we do until that process takes place?
Right now, if I look up, there's elections going on in 2 years. If I look up, there's elections probably going on this year where you live at. I mean, what have we done the research to see who's actually running for what office?
Because right, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for that
is the meantime. Yeah, that is the meantime, and we continue to have these conversations, and not just to have a conversation for the day, but a long-term conversation, and not just to wait till we get another Lisa, who's another mother whose son's been attacked, and sit back and say, let's go out here and stand again. These conversations and debate need to be taking place on the U.S. Senate floor with a bunch of U.S. senators that understand what it is that needs to be changed and arguing to change it. It needs to be taking place, on your state legislators' floor with a bunch of legislators who can implement change. It needs to be taking place with the county commissioners who control the conduct of the police department. And that's who we need to start putting them individuals in place. If you go back into the civil rights era, when the FBI started going after the Klans and started locking them up after the civil rights, the Freedom Fighters got arrested. They stopped wearing the sheets and the hoods and they started running for office. And that's who now, the majority of them took control over your laws, over how you be treated, or what's going to go on, over voting rights. Yeah, that's what I'm simply saying. We stand outside all day long and wait for somebody else to do it. We need to get in there and get people in place that's going to change it, that's going to write the laws, that's going to draft the legislation, that's going to sit there and hold police.
Do you have any suggestions who should be in office? Do you have anybody that's willing to get in there and help fight for us? Any names? Any candidates that's qualified? Anyone that we can support?
Yeah, me. I ran for office twice here in Georgia, DeKalb County, and I was running on, cutting down on convicted felon reentry programs. I was running on education and economics to curb crime. I was running on better treatment for behavioral health. And the bottom line is you got to raise money or people get out there to come support you. But the people I stood up for when I was at protest, the people I stood up for in law enforcement, I was a commander of internal affairs. I know what it's going to take to change the system. I held them accountable, but they didn't want to hear that, but every time something happened, I see these same people out here and I'm on the steps with them. And I asked them, hey, did you vote for the sheriff? Who'd you vote for sheriff? They ain't got a clue what the sheriff does. So yeah, we got to learn our political structure. We got to learn and look at who's running and what it is that their seat actually controls and know who to pick up the telephone, and call. So in a situation where a child or police officers get out of control, hey, that a police officer answers to that mayor. Hey, we vote and we get that mayor ass up out of there unless he get in here and does something. But the majority of people, first thing they want to do is say, hey, we're going after the police chief. And the police chief will stand there and tell you, I'm going to do this and tell you everything that you want to hear, but he has no power to do nothing.
Well, I can say in Philadelphia, they're not going after the police. I can say that in Philadelphia. They're not going after the police chief, nor they're going after the police chief in Philadelphia and or in Delaware. I can vouch for those two. They do know where to go with that, along with the protesting. Because I'm not going to downplay protesting as if, hey, it doesn't do or it won't change anything.
You're right.
You're right. You are right. You are right, y'all.
Yeah, we're not down talking protesting. It's time to go to the next level.
Right.
Okay, can I chime in?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm an advocate protester. I'm here, and I stand on protest, but I also say, I don't throw one punch. Now it's time to throw some more punches.
Got you. So let her chime in on my time and let her say what she has to say. I want to hear what she has to say.
What I wanted to say is that both of y'all right, but protesting do help. And I'm gonna just keep it real with you, Mr. Jones. We've been voting for 402 years, and where are we? And it's 2001. It's 2021. We've been voting for 402 years, but where are we as a people?
So
check this out. Let's hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Just let her finish.
Just let her finish, please. We go to this. This is the thing. Y'all say go to the get these senators up out of here, put somebody in place. But you got to understand that this is a machine that we're dealing with. So you can put somebody that's for us in place, but once they get to the machine turns them into how the machine want to operate. I'm saying we need to abolish the machine, tear it down completely, because America was built on lies. So in order for us to destroy this machine, we can't put nobody in the place of the machine to work for the machine, because we've been doing that for 402 years. And what have the machine gave us? Nothing but death and slaughter and rape. So all type of wrongdoings to our peoples. The chief don't have no power because he's appointed in. The sheriffs are voted in. These mayors of these states, cities and states that appoint these chiefs in place, they're no good either. They not for us either. None of these people is for us. The police work for these entities. They know about all these murders. They know about everything that's going on, but they're not doing anything. And it's not because, they don't know, or this and that. They don't care. It's not their children, period.
So when you sit there and say you've been voting for over 400 years, we haven't been voting for over 400 years. Let's make that point right there. We haven't been voting for over 400 years. And when you want to look at who's been voted in office, let me ask you a question. Who is the police chief? Who is the mayor? Who is the sheriff? Who is your city? Who is your state representative? Who is your state senator that represents the district that you live in?
The chief of our police now is
No, I don't want the police chief. I want to know.
You want the sheriff? The sheriff is Gil Neighbor. The mayor is Eric Garcetti.
And who is the state representative that represents your district? And who is the state senator?
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, that's my point.
Some people don't care about us, sir. Some people don't care about us. They know about these murders out here in the streets, and they ain't doing nothing about it. They like you said, they getting that paycheck, and that's all they care about.
I'm sorry. We have one too many people talking on my time spot. So as she's talking, you're trying to chime in. If we can just be a little courteous, let somebody finish their sentence and then come in, because what happens is all I hear is one person trying to out-talk another, and I'm not hearing anything. I can't listen to what anybody's saying. All I hear is just one trying to out-voice the other one to get their viewpoint across, and that's not fair and right. We're not accomplishing anything. Actually, we're just badgering each other, and that's not what this whole thing is about. Please.
That. So as I was saying, Sonia, protesting do help. It does. It really does, because you putting your boots to the ground and you showing the world that you're not accepting what they want you to accept no more. They want us to accept this as our norm. This ain't my norm. My son was 18 years old. They shot 70 shots at my 18-year-old black son for running. You feel me? The officer that killed my son, he admitted that he shot 40 shots out his volley, and he ain't never met my son a day in my son's life. So protesting, it does help. We just need to go to the right places to protest, because We protesting in our states, and our states don't care about the deaths in our states. We got to take it to a whole nother level. We need to sit down and talk to some people, because you got to look at it. These senators, these legislators, these House, they've been in these seats for many of years. So they, set in their ways. So they don't really want to hear nothing that we got to say, because they feel like the police is doing their job. And all these murders, every case is justifiable. That's sad. Seriously.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I would say that it takes a combination of these things. You need the ones that can go in there and write legislation. You need the ones that can go in these rooms and talk to these different people. But you also need the ones that got boots on ground, that's not afraid to go stand at the mayor's house. You need the ones that's not afraid to go to the courthouse or wherever they need to go in front of the police station. Everybody in this fight has a different part. Everybody is good at different things. So when you find what you're good at, when you find your part, that's the part you do. You don't tear down the other part. Okay, y'all are over there. Y'all going to go protest tonight. Okay, why y'all doing that? Me and my team, we're good at writing legislation. We're going to write this legislation. Then we're going to send this team in there that knows how to present it in the right way. We all have to work together. So I think that all of these things are important. Sometimes writing legislation, they might not want to let you in the door. So yeah, you got 100 people standing outside of the courthouse. Okay, that might work for others. It's a combination. So I think as long as we work together and we get where we need to go and do our job and do it to the best of our ability, we'll continue to see changes. We've gotten this far with working together and everybody doing their different part. That's what I think.
I totally agree. I totally agree on that one. I think both of them were beneficial.
I would really like to thank you, Sonia Jones. I really enjoyed your input and everything that you had to say. You was on point. We on fire, y'all. Coming up next, from Plainfield, New Jersey native, who came to DeKalb County, Georgia, with a dream to protect and serve the public. He began his law enforcement career June of 1995. He was a street beat officer. He served for 20 years between DeKalb County Police and Sheriff Department, where he held every rank from police officer, special investigator, police sergeant, commander of DeKalb Fraud and Financial Crime Unit. Also, he was the supervisor of the Internal Affairs Unit, deputy sheriff sergeant, and finally, he became the deputy of sheriff lieutenant administrative aide to the sheriffs. Please welcome everybody, Cal Keith Jones. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hello? Can you hear?
I don't see him on the screen. He might have got disconnected.
Oh, he got out because he was mad, I guess.
Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, so
well,
that means it's my turn.
I like how this is going. I can, being able to agree to disagree is good. We all don't need to agree and like each other's viewpoints, but to respect them is a plus. That has to be, and I like what you said. We don't need to tear each other down, because both are essential. I may not be good at writing laws, but I'm good for speaking up. The other person may not be good at speaking up, but someone else is good at at going to the mayor's office, or articulating the words, getting our views across properly. But I'm not against protesting by any means, because a lot of our leaders, they've done that. And we got a lot accomplished doing that. I'm not saying don't go and present anything to our legislators, but in the meantime, while we're waiting for them to do something for us, what are we going to do for us while we're waiting? I get us going out there telling them, hey, we're not going to tolerate that. At some point, the underlying word is, we are telling you we want some changes, which means we want some help from you. But I'm not saying we're begging. We're just demanding, and we're making it known that, hey, see my presence, see our presence, hear our voices. This is not going anywhere until change comes to help for us, not just them, but for all of us, because we are, included, like we are human. As somebody said before, they see us and treat us like animals, and we're not animals, but we have to unify within our own so that they can see. For me, it just seems like, I get confused. You know, if I don't see that you're unifying, you're coming to me, it's like, why would I want to pay you any attention? You don't have it all together. And I need you to come to me, presented with everything before I can take you serious. And slowly we are taking ourselves serious. There's a lot of us out there that are, standing up and protecting us, but we need to come together and unify, get this stuff together straight, stop telling them this is what we want, and start demanding and making it known, show them that, hey, we are not animals. We are humans. Our lives and our voices does matter, and we want it to be heard. But how do we do that? A combination, like, young lady said, both of them. Somebody sitting at that table, and you look outside, you're like, yo, there's 1,000 of us outside. Like, no, we're not joking. We're not playing.
Right.
This is our lives we're talking about. This is my children's lives, your children's lives. Like I said, my family is alive, but I'm out here. I've been out here for years, over 10 years, fighting and protesting, foot on the ground for families that I don't even know, have yet to meet and lost contact with, but they're a human life, and it could be mine. And then, that's the sad part. I don't want to wait until it becomes mine. Every time, I am my brother's keeper. Point blank period. I am my brother's keeper. What happens to you affects me, and what happens to me should affect you. I shouldn't have to wait until it's a George Floyd or a Breonna Taylor, because everyone has a George Floyd in their family, in their neighborhood. Everyone has a Breonna Taylor in their family, in their neighborhood. It shouldn't have to be at a certain extent before we sit up here and become outraged. Every time someone steals our lives, we should be outraged.
Yep, that's the truth. But just like you said, people want to wait until it hit their door. A lot of people act like they not woke. They don't want to be woke. And we don't even have no leaders right now in today's time that's really can lead us. Where are they? I mean, because Al Sharpton can't lead me nowhere. He was an informant. And if you look at all the civil rights leaders, the ones that they did kill, them was the ones that was making noise and moving shit. The ones that still here today, they just here. How did they last out the last as civil rights leaders, and all the other ones, they not here no more? It's sad that we don't have nobody to fight for us, period. And when we sit up having conversations like this, I don't feel like a person should take it personal or get outside their character when a person is just talking about their experiences and how they fighting in this fight. Because just like you said, Sonia, it's gonna take all of us. Because see, we're not outnumbered, we just unorganized. And you said everybody got a role and a position in this fight, and a lot of people don't understand their role and their position in this fight. You feel me? I'm a mother, and I keep my boots on the ground because we do need changes. We don't need change, because I can change my mind tomorrow. We need changes. Changes is concreted in stone. They've been killing us for too many years. We've been doing this and we've been doing that, and none of that shit is working. So we need to try to do something else. We need to, like you said, have the people with the boots on the ground outside the courtroom, and the person that's going in there to fight for us inside the courtroom.
Yeah.
One
need it. It's sad. This is June. I remember I went to the Million Man March. I went to all three. The Million Man March, the 10-year was it 10-year and the 20-year, and I participated in the 20-year in Wilmington. I went to I went to the 10-year. When I went with my sons. And we get there and we're like, I really don't want to walk all the way up to the stage, to the gate. That's too much. So we stopped. Midway, we just stopped. Towards my left, I'm watching, guys out there. Oh man, they cracking jokes and playing cards. My sons are with me. And all of a sudden, out the blue, this one decides he's not happy, and they're about ready to start sprawling. I'm like, wait a minute. I had to go over there with my sons. Like, wait a minute. You don't do that. Like, I could have stayed at home, or y'all could have stayed at home, basically, to do all of that. You just got finished listening to this man telling us that we're supposed to unify and be in peace, go back to your communities and spread the love. And then you sitting up here get ready to fight in front of my sons, and I'm telling my sons not to do those things. And then you out here doing the opposite of what this man just told us to do about loving and on each other and being unified. And then my sons have to look at that like, yo, why? I literally made them like I don't care what y'all do when I leave, but in front of my sons, please shake hands and say you're sorry. They did. They shook hands and said they were sorry. Like I'm trying to tell my sons not to do that. Don't grow up and be that guy. Don't grow up and be hit that girl. Don't grow up and then you contradict everything that was spoken. Everything that was spoken. And then you, in front of my sons, forget everybody else's, in front of my sons. I don't do all of that. So why would you do it? You know, yeah, you're right. You're right. I get we get a little out of hand and think, well, come on, was it really that serious that you decided you would go for blows in another state you don't even live in, like in front of other people? Because what's going to happen is people gonna congregate, somebody gonna grab their phone, start recording as if that was funny. Who was going to interject? No one. Like, why am I the female having to go over there and do some stuff that pretty much takes place now? Where are our men at? That's another thing. Where are men when all of this stuff is going on? Because I remember protesting, there used to be the men front line. Now you see the ladies front line with the children in tow and whatever scattered men. But no, it's supposed to be the men. We shouldn't have to tell you. We shouldn't have to ask you or beg you. You should automatically know to be present. Like, what are you doing when all of this is going on that we have to ask you? Can you know? That should have just came right at a drop of a hat. I'm going to be there. Yo, I'm grabbing homeboy, Ray from around the corner, the badasses or whoever else, and we going out there. No, it shouldn't be us women out here, trying to take care of our neighborhoods when you got guys out here, that should be doing and participating just as badly as we are. Like, this is a us fight, not my fight, your fight, her fight, and whatever neighbor that looks like me fight. It's our fight. We're all in this together. They're like picking us all out. They're not saying, okay, I'm going to exclude you, because no, they're looking at us, at our skin, and they're saying, I'm going to get you too. They don't give a rest behind my name, my title. They're coming after us. And we as us need to start unifying, because I always said this before. I'm going to say it again. What is it about some of us that makes us want to kill us when we're doing a good job? Stop. It's too much. It's extra. These bodies are dying.
I can tell you what a man at. You got these organizations that have these mothers, they down talk the men. It's a lot of fathers in this fight that's really out here fighting for their children, but you never hear about them because they don't want to hear from the fathers. And it's discouraging, and it's hardening that these men, it's men out here that's really got their boots to the ground, but you don't hear about them because they push them out the way. They don't want the men to be in the forefront, but I do. I need all the men that I can get to join me in this fight, because this is a terrible fight, and we losing. The police is winning globally, and we losing as a people, for real. And that's what they need to stop. I don't understand why it's just about the mothers. No, it's fathers out here too that lost their children. And a lot of these mothers need to stop, because in order for you to have that child that you lost, it had to be a father that you had that child by. So if that father want to put his 10 toes and his boots to the ground, respect that and uplift that man and stand behind him. You feel me? And that's what's wrong. A lot of women don't stand behind our men. So when it's time for them to come stand out and fight, they already ousted. So they just don't stand up. They just watch it. You feel me? If you listen to all the people that talk about police terrorism, they only talk about the mothers. You don't hear them say nothing about the fathers.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. That's one of the reasons why I put together another forum for next month to bring some men together to talk about, a lot of the things.
I got something for you too, baby. I got some fathers for you that got their boots to the ground in this fight.
Yeah, there are men. No, I'm not taking away from that, but the vast majority of these things that are taking place are led by women. They're held by women. You see the women, and I would like to see more men than women.
Right.
But again, how do we get our police held accountable? like the man said, we got to get to our elected officials. But at some point, it's like, you got to go through a bunch of red tape. But in the meantime, what do we do while we're going through the red tape?
Right.
While I have to wait for them, to come for their meeting, or they're in a meeting. They're always in a meeting. When you call, they're always in a meeting. They're never available. And I don't understand it. The only time I get to see these elected officials is come election time. I don't want to wait until election time for you to knock on my door and send me these little door knockers. Tell me, hey, this is what, I'm running for. I want you to re-elect me back in office. I'm trying to figure out, why would I put you back in office when I put you in the first time? I don't even know what you did the first time, let alone I had the hardest time trying to get with you the first time. But now that you're running again, I get to see you in all your glory. No, we have to hold them accountable. But what are we doing to make them held accountable? Are we calling them up? Are we calling them out? Are we bringing the press to their jobs? Are we going to their homes, sitting outside until they come? Are we sitting in their offices? Again, gentlemen made a good point. Who are our elected officials? We should know who our elected officials are in case we have any complaints. Who's your mayor? Who's your governor? Who's your lieutenant governor? Who's city council president? It helps. Hey, who is your council member in your district? It helps to know, because now you get to go to them and say, hey, I got you in office. Please don't forget that. I need your help. And you, as my elected official, because you work for me, are supposed to be doing what I asked you to do, which was one of the things you promised me on election time. And so far, you have not done that. So as such, either do your job or, we just kindly remove you. But in the meantime, what do we do while we're waiting for them to do something for us?
Right. It's crazy. Nobody don't know what no type of directions to tell us to turn to. Everybody can give suggestions, but just like you said, these elected officials, when you call them, they ain't gonna answer their phone. So how do you talk to them? You feel me? They only want to talk to you during election time. That's why my point that I bring back up, when they come to your house before election and telling you they're gonna do this and they bringing this to the table, as soon as they become a part of this machine, they think like the machine, and they did forgot about all the things that they already promised you that they was gonna do. So,
hi ladies, how are you tonight?
All right.
Hello.
I have a question for you guys while we're waiting on Miss J. Renee. Can you guys discuss the thin blue line? So you guys, what does the thin blue line mean?
Whew.
Now the blue would be what, the police? I would assume that's what that would mean to me. Blue.
We can't hear you. You scrambling.
I've heard of the thin blue line before.
Yeah.
I've heard of the blue curtain before too, which I'm a little bit more familiar with. I'm not sure if they're the same thing. Are they the same thing, Brooke? Should we look it up? Let me look it up.
Is that Brooke that came in?
Yes, that was Brooke, but she was scrambling.
Hold on.
That's because she interrupted my donut break.
Ah.
All right, the thin blue line. What is it here? So where does the thin blue line come from? The phrase "the thin blue line" is older, perhaps first popularized in 1922 by the New York Police Commissioner, who used the phrase to describe the police as that intensive battle line, the first line of defense against criminality.
Damn.
So I don't think anything of the thin blue line is, except for the fact that police need to do their jobs better and not kill.
How do we get them to do their jobs better when we get a lot of pushback from our elected officials that we elect to come in and serve us? And they're not doing a good job of serving us after we got them into office.
That part.
Well, you know what? We can discuss this, but how about we let J. Renee do her presentation? Because I think some of ours might be.
I got 3 more minutes. I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming with my girl. She got 3 more minutes. So it's like a thin blue line. You guys listen to that. What she said. She said in 1922, a New York police commissioner made that statement on how they treat people. It's thin blue line. So
1922.
Retraining them ain't getting it. Reform ain't getting it. We got to get these killers out these precincts. Period.
So how do you distinguish who's the killer versus the good guy versus the bad guy?
Let me tell you, can I keep it real with you?
Yeah.
Ain't no good guys. Because if you go to work every day and you know they killing men, women, and children, and you complacent with it, how you good? Where's your goodness at?
Well, no. What about the ones who don't see it? Let's say, hey, I don't. Let's say my partner is not like that. They don't display those things around me. So I'm looking at two good guys. Because one doesn't do it and the other one can vouch for, hey, my partner doesn't do it. But then you do have that one that does do it, so, you can't say all of them are bad. Not all police are bad. Like, it's like saying
so where
all
the good ones at? Where the good ones? Because if you going to work and you see it, you coming to work and you hearing them talk about they kill somebody. And I'm pretty sure they showing the body cam in the precinct. And you don't say nothing. You don't say, no, that's wrong. Oh, no, I don't agree. Nothing. And you're a good cop because you was okay with them killing people.
No. What I'm saying is that we can't. I'm sorry. I can't put all police in the same pot and say all police are bad because, again, my partner may not display those things. I know I'm not a racist, but my partner may not be. So now you done put me in the pot with them other police officers because me and my partner, we're not about that. Like, we have never seen that. We don't hear those things. So I can't say that all are, because I'm not gonna put them all in a pot, just like I'm not gonna say all Black men are drug dealers or all females or sex driven. That's putting us, that's stereotyping because you have some who are bad. The ones that are bad, yes, they need to be removed, never to be put back in a position, no matter what city or state. What happens is a lot of these people, these police officers get fired, they get terminated, and they go to a different state and they become, they pick up where they left off at doing the same thing. I think that needs to be stopped. Once you are terminated from one police force for whatever bad, of course, if you were terminated, for some sort of racial profile, some killing, I don't think you should be able to go to another precinct, no matter where, and pick back up where you left off at, because now you're just taking one trait from one city to the other city. You're just taking one bad part of you to the other bad part, and you may now mingle upon somebody who hasn't done that, who had no intentions of doing that, but now they seen your bad habits, like, oh shucks, you do that? Oh, I never thought about that.
The issue is accountability. The lack of accountability is what lets bad officers stay bad officers.
So how do we distinguish
that aren't bad? Well, I have a presentation that I'm going to present this evening when y'all ready for me.
I'm ready for you right now, baby. I'm finna hit you right now.
I'm ready.
Jay. So as we keep this thing going, we on fire, y'all. The National Plus Coalition got us sizzling over here. This speaker right here, y'all, is a retired 2 times Iraqi and war veteran. She is now a full-time independent journalist that's motivated by community development, inspiring our youth and social justice. She has 2 major platforms that she created: Hip Hop Humanism and Prison Riot Radio, dedicated to changing the narrative of those who have been or are currently incarcerated by giving them the opportunities to support their families and motivate others and give them a voice. Please welcome Jay Renee. Where you at, Jay?
There I go. Seeing the screen like this kind of threw me off a little bit. I couldn't find my unmute button, but I found it now. All right. So So the reason why I made this slide, it's only 11 slides, so it won't be death by PowerPoint, will be to talk about some of the things that I've seen as being in the military compared to what I see on the street in the police force. And it's a drastic difference. So I made this slide to try to start the conversation on how the police, we can make them, one, more accountable, and two, give them better procedures to where we're not having unarmed people, children, innocents, and things like that being shot and killed or harmed, in the line of duty. Okay, next slide. All right, so something to consider. This is what I was thinking about, especially when all of this stuff was going on, when across the country, where it was different protests and stuff like that. That's when we start seeing the police bring out military style equipment. Okay, so I said, if the police have military armor and military weaponry, why shouldn't they have more military like rules? Okay, so this is what sparked that idea. Okay, next slide. Next. Okay. One more.
I didn't see the slide.
All right. Okay. So what is needed? A revision of the use of force continuum. So what the use of force continuum is, it is pretty much a list of rules that the police are supposed to use when they are dealing with citizens. Okay. What is needed is also a uniform consequences when rules are broken. One of the things that I noticed with the videos that I've been watching, live content that I've been watching, that several police officers are breaking the law, but it seems like nothing is happening. Okay, so where's the consequences for these rules? Consequences breed change. Consequences make things not happen. Trust me. The fact that people don't go rob banks, some people, is because it's against the law and you're going to get in trouble. If it wasn't against the law, guess what? More banks would be robbed. Consequences breed different changes in behavior. All right, so I suggest what else is needed? An introduction of a new escalation of force policy. Now, you see I have escalation of force with EOF in parentheses. That means anywhere you see EOF, that stands for escalation of force, okay? And they need more in-depth standard operation procedures. If you look at the police across America, everybody has a different standard. Why? And it's possible to have the same standard. Don't let them tell you it's not, because when it comes to the armed forces, all across the Army, there's one standard. Across the Marines, it's a standard. Across the Air Force. So it is possible to have a bunch of people that's doing the same job under the same standard. Next slide. Okay, why is it needed? This is obvious why it's needed, but we're going to break it down for those that might not understand, because there are people in this world that have no clue to what the heck is going on. They live in a bubble, and that's all they know, okay? Unarmed citizens are being shot and killed by police. Explain to me why someone that is unarmed is not about to shoot anyone or harm themselves, or the police is being killed. It makes no sense. Okay. Currently, laws and guidelines in place are being ignored. They have the use of force and use of force continuum, but they are breaking the laws, and it doesn't matter. It's being ignored. All right. Now, this is also to aid the police in being the best that they can be. Now, the police will say that they want to do great things and they want to protect the law and the citizens and the law of the land and make sure everybody's kumbaya. We're glad that you feel that way. You need some changes, and they should, in my opinion, if they want to be the best they want to be, conform to these changes, because it's for the greater good. So that's another reason why it's needed. And to repair the relationship between police and society. Most of the people I know do not trust the police, don't want the police around, don't want to see nothing with the police. Why? Because a lot of them are corrupt, and sometimes when the police come around, their family members die. Next slide. When we need this ASAP. No more mothers need to cry. No more fathers need to cry. No more wives, husbands, girlfriends, children. Okay? With the current climate in America, when it comes to the police and civilians, we must seriously take into account what needs to be fixed so we can begin to repair the relationship with police and America. Next slide. All right, so the current policy that they use, the use of force continuum, okay? It's not followed by all. Okay. It seemingly has no consequences if the rules are broken. And it would work if the standards were enforced and consequences were guaranteed. For example, have you ever seen any footage to where someone might be loud mouthing the police and the police officer goes and tackles them or reaches out and touch them? They're not supposed to assault you just because you're running your mouth. It says that in the use of force continuum. However, there's no consequences when they break those rules. So that's why it continues to happen. And I think it's gotten to the point to where us as Americans are so used to watching the police break the rules because we're not familiar with them. It's like regular policing. We might yell, oh man, you ain't have to hit them like that. But there's no repercussion. There's no after. It's just, it happened. And then we watch our friend get hauled away with the police. And he's just been assaulted. That is assault when you put your hands on people, right? Okay, next slide. All right, so I consider the mesh of policies. So if the use of force continuum can't be enforced, let's mesh the policies. When I was downrange, when I was in Iraq, I've been to Iraq twice, we could not do the things that police officers get away with here on American soil. Do you know why? Because I would be in prison. Okay, I would be in prison. I would be in jail. I would lose money. I would lose my rank. Okay. Hey, they would like, hey, we got to let you go because you did the wrong thing. How much more so on American soil should these police officers not have some type of standard about themselves to where people aren't being killed, murdered, mutilated, hurt, and assaulted? But we have to do it in a combat zone where I know that guy over there 9 times out of 10 wants to kill me. But I still cannot just shoot him because I feared for my life. There is no fear. I'm in a whole nother country with somebody that I know probably wants to kill me, might have killed someone that I knew yesterday. And I still have to have a certain amount of professionalism, okay, and standard. Can you understand what I'm saying? I think y'all feel, yes, y'all see where I'm going, right? Next, please. Okay, a new policy proposal. You don't want to use the old one. You don't want to mesh them together. Do another one because there's clearly a problem. If there wasn't a problem with the current standard, you wouldn't be seeing people die. And it's not just about Black people. I always say the police are an American problem. When the things happened while we were all on quarantine, I seen them assault elderly white men. I seen them assault teenage white women. I seen them assault Black women. I seen them assault Black children. I seen them assault Hispanic men and women. I seen them assault. The police have got so carried away with how they behave that it's just rampant. They're just running around here doing whatever they want. It's not right. They need a new escalation of force policy. They need more in-depth procedures. They need clear, uniform consequences when they don't follow the rules, period. No accountability. That's why you see no changes. Why should he stop punching people in the face if he's not going to get in trouble for it? That's his thing. He like to punch people. Why he going to stop? Unless you say, hey, you keep punching people, you're going to lose your job. You keep punching people, you're going to have a dock and pay. Sometimes you have to set these rules up because people lack compassion and common sense. Okay? And they need to have more SOPs, what to do when things happen. I was watching this one video. They apprehended this white woman, took her in. She said, I feel sick. I don't feel good. She's exhibiting signs that something's wrong. They did nothing and she died. Why? Why is there not a procedure of what to do when someone's in your care and they need hospital attention? That woman might be alive. They never even tried to save her life. That's not okay. The police need a revamping. Next slide. Uniformity of consequences, uniform justice code. In the military, I always go back to the military because that's the thing I know that works on a grand scale. If you did something, there is already in place if what's going to happen to you. It's already there. Don't nobody have to figure it out. Ain't no good old boy system. Ain't no come back here in the back room. No, hey man, this is what you did. This is the consequence. No exceptions. And it works. I watched it work. I watched it work on on this side of the soil. I watched it work in Iraq. It's worked in Afghanistan. It's worked in Kuwait. It's worked in all of these other places. So it can work in America. It can work in America, regardless of the ranking. If you're a captain and you do something, and you a sergeant and you do the same thing, y'all both get the same. Here it is. This is your punishment. Trust me. Punishment makes people act differently. Real consequences. Immunity needs to be taken off the table when they break the rules. Immunity needs to be taken off the table when someone is unarmed. Go into the jury. They said that the law is fair, correct? Isn't that say that's what works, right? You go to trial and you get a fair trial and you're innocent until you're proven guilty, right? So why do you get immunity? Why can I fear for my life? Why is that it? If they break these rules, immunity should be taken off the table. Trust and believe me, you will have people that act like they have more sense if they know that there's a consequence behind pulling that trigger. Knowing in the mind of someone who is sick, because please know that sick people can get jobs that they should not be in. Let's get that correct. It is very clear that there are sick people in different walks of life in different jobs that you wish they weren't there. There are some sick people in the police officer, in the police force. I guarantee you, if they knew that if they went and killed somebody, that it was going to be a problem for them, they wouldn't be out here killing them. And if they still doing it, them the psychos, go and get them out of there now. Because you're going to have racist police. You can feel how you feel, but do your damn job, and nobody should die because of your racist beliefs. That's where the consequences come in. That's how you stop for how they feel personally showing up at their doorstep at their job. Next slide. So who would train them? Okay, that's what I asked this officer. I said, hey, do you guys get this kind of training? And he said, well, it really depends on the budget of the police force. Granted, everybody got excuses. The military, you can have retired military personnel train them that's instructed in these different things before. And you can also use active duty military. Almost every state has a military base, and they have people that can go TDY to teach classes and stuff. They do it all the time. It's somebody that can do it. But when they go and teach these things to the police, they teach someone to be able to teach it. That way they don't have to come back and teach again. You teach them what to do. You teach them how to teach it. And then you make it mandatory that that's part of the curriculum that they learn. And then you have someone that's not a part of the police force. It could be the military. It could be somebody else that comes in and makes sure that they're teaching that training. That comes in and makes sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Spot check. A surprise. Surprise. What y'all doing today? I'm telling you. Next slide, please. I'm almost done, I promise. All right, these are the closing remarks. All right, so this is just my suggestion. I'm not a professional. This is just some things that I thought could be helpful. If anyone knows who can see these slides or who to get these slides to that might help assist in what we're trying to do, please feel free to contact me. Feel free to share this and do whatever you need. All right. Currently, closing remarks. They need to follow the rules that they already have, add on to what exists, and implement it. Okay? Implement what's already there and have some consequences, or create a new escalation of force policy, okay, with consequences included. Because I don't know what the consequence book is, because I couldn't find it anywhere. What happens to an officer when he do the wrong thing? Couldn't find it. Maybe don't exist. All right? Lastly, create standard operating procedures to how to interact with civilians. Make it dummy proof. It don't matter how dumb this officer is. It don't matter how he feel. He need to be able to open something and say, step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you don't follow them rules, of course there's case by case, but if you don't follow the rules, you need to be held accountable for it. Accountability, the lack of accountability, I believe, is the biggest issue with our police force. And that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hey, you're on fire, girl. Thank you. A lot of information. If y'all out there paying attention, y'all chimed in, y'all should be listening, because there's a lot of good information out there, and she on point. You ain't gonna never find none of they rules and regulations as an officer with misconduct and none of that, because there isn't any. So like you were saying, a lot of these officers when they killing these people, they don't lose their job. They get awards and medals, and then they get to be put right back on the streets because a lot of these officers have more than one bodies up under their badge.
Yeah, she did raise some great points. I like that. Accountability. If there aren't any consequences, to, hey, you may be terminated, without pay, financial. When you hit people in the pocket, like I tell everybody, everyone right now is hunched over. They're hunched over. Once you start digging in their pocket, they stand erect and you get they want your undivided attention. They know how to pronunciate your name and know everything about you when you start touching them in their pocket, because that's my means of life. And if we start attacking some of them in their pockets, not because come the lawsuits, from what I was informed of, when you sue, it doesn't come out of the police officer's pocket. So they're not being held responsible for anything. And that needs to be changed.
That's crazy. And they the ones that's killing the people and they getting away with it. And then they be off of work after they kill somebody, they off of work with pay. 3 to 6 days.
I'm telling you, ladies, when the Iraqi war first jumped off, right, it was a lot of blurred lines on how we were supposed to interact with the people over there, especially the threats, and a lot of stuff happened. But America saw it, and probably the UN as well, and was like, okay, we can't be out here doing this. Y'all doing a lot. So let's make some rules. And as time passed, the rules got more and more and more as they saw what the problems were. So it got to the point to something that you might couldn't have done at the beginning of the war. You damn sure better not do 12 months down the line. When they say you know better, you do better. There was an accountability. You know that if you went over there messing with them people and somebody got hurt and you didn't follow these steps, that you was going to prison.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I don't know many people that went to prison because it didn't matter how mad you was. It wasn't matter that your people just got killed the other day. It don't matter that those might be the people that threw some bombs at you. It didn't matter. There was a certain procedure, and if you didn't follow it, regardless of how you felt, if you were scared, it was a consequence. And many people were not willing to take that consequence. And you know what that made them do? The right thing. They might have talked shit. They talked shit on the way to it, but when they got there, they did the right thing.
Exactly. And that's the saddest part, because that's what all these police globally be saying now. They militarized police. No, they got military weapons, but they're not militarized police, because in the military, you guys can't fire your weapons unless your commanding officer tell you to fire. These police officers are firing their weapons on demand. They don't have no consequences. They make up these stories. They don't tell the truth. When they kill our children, we never hear what happened in the beginning.
And what happens when they lie? When officers get caught lying, they still there. Why?
Yeah.
Why are they still there? If we cannot entrust the police to have integrity, why do you even exist?
Say that.
We can't. It's really happening. We can't make it up. And it's definitely, there's changes happening now that, we're coming together more. We're using our different skill sets, but it's slow, man. Like the bill for protecting us against hate crimes is still sitting there. Why? How much more proof do you need that it's a problem, yo? But you don't want us to be upset. You don't want us to get mad. You don't want us to tear nothing up, but you playing in our face. How much more do you expect people to really tolerate and take? And this younger generation sure not playing.
And that's the scariest part. I got 2 more sons and 2 more daughters I got to protect, so I'm in this fight for the long haul. They gonna have to do a whole bunch of changes, because this don't make no sense. Like even after the trial with Chauvin, the same day they killed like 6 people. Like it's like, okay, yeah, we said we was gonna convict them. They never said a number. But then they, in our face, they said, yeah, that's what y'all thought, but look, we got 6 more bodies out here for y'all. It's just happening everywhere, and don't nobody see it as a problem. It's deep.
No, they see it as a crime. They just turn blind eyes to it. They see it as a crime. Like, they know it exists. They know it. You can't help but not knowing and seeing it. It's just, I've been accustomed to, and I don't want to lose my white privilege card. I'm not going to give that up for anybody. So I'm going to play, play as long as hard as I can. We're going to make sure we're going to shut down those Black folks. We're going to shut you down by any means necessary. But, we're pushing up against them. And we just got to keep pushing and not stopping. Because eventually it's going to break. You can only do bad, but for so long. Exactly. Because God don't bless no mess. For so long, you can only do it, which is, it's slow process because it took a minute to get here. And now that we're here, it's going to take a minute to get even further, but we just can't stop. I want that 6-pack, but I'm not going to get it by sitting around eating ding dongs and gulping down bottles of soda. I have to put something down. And you're not going to get to to that prize, by stopping. You just have to keep being persistent. They knock us, a few of us down, but you just have to keep going. In unity, we have to keep going. We can't keep tearing each other down. We have to keep going, united. But you know what's the coldest part though? It's like Jay was saying, the laws, they are different in every police force in every state. So when people tell you talk to your legislator and go try to get these laws changed, them laws is only feasible for your state. They don't work in other states. So why they ain't trying to pass laws in the Constitution where all states got to govern the laws? Because if it go to the Supreme Court, these states get to pick what laws they want to pick for their states.
Like with that no choking law, like there's still states where that's okay. So we find out that it still exists when they come out with we got a ban on chokeholds. Like, why isn't they all like that? Why is this? Exactly. It should just be more uniform. And me personally, I just think it's possible because I've seen it possible. I was in an institution where it was possible, man. Me over here in America and the soldier over in Korea, we know if we did something, we was getting the same punishment. We knew what it was. It didn't matter, man. It didn't matter where we were. And I know that SOPs, different places. If you surrounded by water, you're going to have a little different SOP than somebody who's surrounded by land. I get that. But there should be some basics, man. Some basics that's universal. And not only should they be there, it should be a consequence when you do the wrong thing, man. Like, really. Like,
they got friends that work in higher places. So, they'll turn their back or turn their eye on their wrongdoing and be like, hey, don't do that again. And then they'll go out there and do the same thing again. And it's the same consequence. None.
I think conversations like this and continuing like I see changes. There's definitely a change from what it was 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but it's so slow. And it blows my mind how slow it is. Like, it seems like common sense. Like, why isn't this quicker? Like the Asian hate law, it got passed so quick, man. Why are stuff still sitting there, yo?
Because it's the distractions. That's what's wrong with America. They put out distractions and get you off of what you're supposed to be focused on. That's what I said. How do we never, as a race of people, we the only race of people that don't have no protection in United States of America, but they give a class of people that ain't even citizens, that ain't born and raised here, they give them protection over us. So it's okay if they kill us and rape us and lynch us and do all that to us because we're nothing.
Can I say, I know, I spoke of marching, protesting, and it offended somebody. But when that Asian young lady, when they shot up in the nail salon, Philadelphia, like, we have a actual Chinatown. We don't have a black town. We have a Chinatown.
Right.
Chinatown in Philadelphia made it known they're going out, and they did. They're coming out and they taking over the street. Now, here we go. They did the protesting and marching. They made it known. We're going to make our presence known. And they chanted and they marched, got together, formed together. There was no police coming along, nobody with the dogs and the mace and the riot gear. They came out and was like with the support of not just the Black brown community, but other communities and elected officials came out to Philadelphia to watch them and to listen to them. Now, depending on who you ask, depending on, there was a lot of backlash because my melanin people were out there, and it was like, how dare you go out? They don't like us, but they're facing the same thing we're facing. So we, they've always supported us, let us support them. What about now? I think we need all the support we can get against those who hate us. And I don't care what color it is. Maybe that's just me. But there are a lot of, you got to remember, even during slavery times, there were your slaves, masters, or kinfolk who hid us during slavery time. They helped us to escape. They couldn't make it known. They didn't say it openly because they would be treated like they would treat the slaves. But even back during slavery time, there were a lot of them who helped us. They didn't like what was going on, but they wasn't going to come out openly and say, hey, I'm opposed to this. No, I'm not trying to get lashed and beaten, raped, and sold. No, but they did help us in some form of way. Not all of them, but some of us, even during the 60s, even during King, they continue to help and support us. So, we do need backing from by any means necessary, but we still need to unify within ourselves. And how ironic that Chinatown came together, got some things changed, and yet we still are, again, fighting for us some years later, and it's like one backlash after another. We're going to ban you from protesting. We're going to ban you from marching. We're going like, are you serious? There's different states now coming up against us that it's become federal law now that we can't protest. Like, it's now federal, not state, federal law that we can't speak up about the injustice that's going on as you kill us and as you treat us as animals.
And this is America, huh? It's supposed to be so great.
But mind you, this is what Trump said. He wants to make America great. I'm just trying to figure out when it was great, what was great about it? Someone actually did a YouTube, and they went out and they were asking people, what was great about America, and naming presidents. So the guy says slavery. When they got to the slavery part, because they were naming presidents and they were naming, these monuments, and they were naming these eras, and during those eras and during that time, monuments and presidents, there was slavery. And when they got to the slavery part, since you want to make America great again, the expressions on their faces was just dumbfounded. Like, I literally felt like I was at a Kevin Hart movie, just tapping my knee laughing, because you want to make America great again. What was great about it then that it's not great now, that we're opening up our mouths, we're becoming conscious?
America was never great.
Not for us.
Nope. That's why I said, when you go to your legislators and your senators, and you go and try to get these laws and things passed, these laws don't apply to us though. When they pass these laws, that still don't apply to us. We're still dying. So why make a law or go stand behind this legislator on getting this law passed when it ain't a law for us? When they go make some laws that's sufficient for us as a people, there isn't any.
Yeah, that's why this is definitely a marathon and not a sprint.
Huh.
I know I'm locked in. I'm going to be doing this till I drop now. I'm telling you now. For real.
Can't turn back now.
I like these dialogues. I like the open forums. Again, to be able to agree to disagree. I may not like what you're saying or how you present it, but because your view is not my view doesn't mean your view is right or mine is wrong, or vice versa.
Right.
As long as we walk out of here with some sort of respect for each other, towards each other, that's the whole objective. I want to hear what you have to say because what you're saying, hey, I maybe not have thought about it that way. I didn't see it that way. Oh, that's okay. I have a different viewpoint. Okay, and let me take what you're saying into consideration and apply it some kind of way. Maybe if I regurgitate it to somebody else, they probably might want to listen to what you have to say versus what I have to say. If I say it that way, it may come across a little bit more common sense, quote unquote, to them versus what, how I say it. Maybe they perceive it differently and take hold of it and run with it. Do what we call change with it. But we have to start somewhere, and holding it in is not gonna, because we're all affected by it, at some point. How you bake a cake may not be the way I bake a cake, but I like how you did that. I never tried it that way. Okay, let me try it that way. So, we have to take something from, pieces of what people give us. And, if it doesn't fit, okay, just hold on to it and, give it to somebody else along the way. Maybe they'll hold on to it. Don't just throw it away and be like, I don't want to hear that. That's not good.
Yeah. And then also when you want to get people to back you and what you're doing, you have to be a person that's a logical person that can listen and let a person get out what they're trying to say, even if you got a different viewpoint. Like you said, hey, maybe we don't agree on it, but I never looked at it like that. But to just try to chop down what you're trying to do without even, it might not have to work for you, and that's cool, but it's working for me and I'm seeing progress, and so a lot of people, you won't. That's why when you was saying, you made some valid points when you was like, well, do you know anybody that we can put out there to vote for, to put in these positions to where we can see changes? And then when he said him, but then he hung up the phone, I was like, well, you just like the rest of the senators and the legislators. We can't get a hold to you. So, to me, I don't see no leaders out here no more. Ain't nobody really fighting for us, and it's sad. It's just terrible to me that every time you turn around, it's another person being assassinated by the police, and it's getting ridiculous. It's getting to the point to where it's making me sick, and so I try to do something else to try to keep me sane, because there's too many bodies and nobody is getting in trouble for none of it. And then the parents and the loved ones, we all are suffering, and all they want to do is give us monetary benefits, but it's bigger than the money. My son been dead for 5 years and I haven't even went in the courtroom yet. I was supposed to go to court May 11th and they pushed my case back again. It's like, it's sad. If you felt like you did your job and you was right, I should have been in court. But this is the games they play in California. So it's sad out here, but I love these conversations because I get to talk to people from everywhere and get their viewpoints about what's going on, because it's globally and everybody should be talking about it, because we don't skip houses. You feel me? They destroying our neighborhoods, they destroying the families, and not just by killing us on the streets, they doing it to our men, women, and children in these prison systems and these juvenile hall systems. When we go to get in trouble, we don't get the pat on the shoulder and don't come back no more. The first thing they offer us is a strike. Even if you're a juvenile, you got a strike. So they already letting you know you got 2 more and you out of here, right? So the system is just corrupted and it's sad. And don't know about these people that work, that control this machine. They feel like the machine is working perfectly fine. But if they put their feet in our shoes, they will see that it's a problem, but they don't see it. But one day they gonna see it though. I just hope it don't take no 100 years, because I can't wait another 100 years for y'all to apologize for killing my son. They don't appreciate us. They disrespect us when they kill our kids. They slander and defamate our characters like we was the one that pulled the trigger, and they need to stop that too. That's crazy. But y'all, we're gonna move right along. Like I said, it's the National Plus Coalition, first ever revival for justice, virtual rally against police terrorism. I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all and tell y'all what it is. But man, y'all need to tune in, because it don't stop and it don't quit. It's just the first day. We got all the way to Juneteenth. And I'm talking about this is gonna be on fire every single day. keep on watching. You're gonna get a lot of knowledge out of this. I like to thank my guests that came in tonight. I like to thank Jay. I like to thank Sonia. I'm even thank you, Kyle. I don't know where you at, but you know, I appreciate you coming in and giving your viewpoint for the time that you was here. I also like to give a special shout out to Brooke and Maria, because you know, in a short timing, them ladies worked hard to try to make this possible. You know, they had people falling out on them in the last minute, you know, but when you're doing something right, the devil stay busy. But you know, I'm an anointed one, so I always say, won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Okay.
We were successful for the first night. So devil, we already done kicked you and bust your head on the sidewalk. Try again next week. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. Once again, I'm Lisa Simpson, the mother of Richard Risher, who was slain by LAPD July 25th, 2016 in the Nickerson Gardens. I'm giving this event next month. It'll be his 5th year death anniversary. Still ain't got no justice. Ain't no police been arrested. They still got their jobs. They got promotions. So in this fight, if the DA don't pick up your case, there's no criminal charges. All you have is civil. And when you in the civil, they want to shuck and jive you for the coins that they want to offer you for the death of your loved one. But everybody have a good night. Man, keep speaking. Tell your friends. How your friends tell their friends.
I need you to call me when this is over. I appreciate everyone.
I need one of y'all to hit Brooke with the number, and then I'll hit y'all.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love y'all.
Love you. Y'all be safe out here.
Oh, y'all too. Y'all have a good evening.
Bye.
Yes, ma'am.